Good afternoon. Today is Thursday, October the 13th, the year is 2022. This is the regular school board meeting for the Wight County Schools. And I would like to thank all of you, staff that is here at this time. At this time, we will have call to order by our clerk.
Roll call, right? Okay.
Roll call.
Mr. Vaughn.
I'm sorry.
okay.
I did the call to order. I'm sorry.
okay.
Roll call. It's been so long since I've been
Okay.
on a meeting.
Mr. Vines. Mrs. Dial. Present. Mrs. Tynes.
Here.
Mr. Cunningham.
Present.
And Mr. Collett.
Present.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we need approval of the agenda or amendments to the agenda.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as it is presented. At this time, if there are no concerns about that, we will take a vote. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is a motion to go into closed session.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to go into a closed meeting. The meeting is to review the personnel report and addendum posted on board docs under personnel tab number 17.1 and to discuss a specific central office personnel position as authorized by Virginia Code 2.2-3711A1 for purposes of discussion and consideration of prospective candidates of Isle of Wight Public Schools for employment, contract changes, transfers, supplemental contracts, supplemental pay, ESSER tutoring grant, letters, training stipend, GED continuing education program, and resignations of Isle of Wight County Public Schools employees. And two, to discuss or consider religious exemptions for one student as authorized by Virginia Code 2.2-3711A2 that would involve the disclosure of information contained in a scholastic record concerning a student, certification of, that's it.
That's it.
Sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. At this time, do we have a motion to that, a
second.
second to the motion?
I second that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Cunningham and a second by Mrs. Dow. Are there any concerns?
No.
Hearing none, we will have a vote. Thank you. Motion passes 4-0. At this time, we are in closed session. Do we have anyone to speak for closed session?
No, ma'am.
Madam Clerk? Okay, thank you. We will probably reconvene in about an hour. Thank you. Okay. All right. At this time, we will reconvene into open session.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion. The closed meeting was conducted in conformity with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as required by Section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia, and certify that only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements were discussed, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered.
Okay. We hear that at this time. Do you have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. If there are no more concerns, at this time, we will vote on it. Thank you. Come up. Do you want to take a verbal?
Mr. Vines?
Yay.
Mrs. Dial?
Yay.
Mrs. Tynes?
Yay.
Mr. Cunningham?
Yay.
And Mr. Colick?
Yay.
All right, vote. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Okay. At this time, I would like to welcome all of you out to our October school board meeting. Again, Wight County Schools is always preparing students for college, career, and life. As I guess many of you have noticed that you see a lot of pink tonight up here as well as in the audience. This month is the month of October. October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and an annual campaign to increase awareness of the disease for nearly 4 decades. Now, the country has recognized October as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It is a time annually devoted to educating everyone about breast cancer, including breast cancer MBC and the importance of early detection and access to timely and high-quality care. Today, Wight County Schools went pink to recognize Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I would like at this time thank all of the staff and all of the schools and the students, as well as the parents that allowed your child to participate in this major event. It's not too many things, as many of you know, that we can actually recognize today in schools, but breast cancer is one of those that we like to recognize. And later on in the year, there will be some other diseases that we will recognize as well. Thank you. Okay, I also would like to welcome tonight with us up here. We have a new student board member, and that is Samantha Kyers. Samantha is a junior from Smithfield High School. Last month, she was not able to attend the meeting because she was involved with some school activities, and but we'll welcome Amanda. If you know. And for those of you have, if this is your first time being in one of our meetings, we have Kali as well. She's a representative from Windsor High School. And the way we do this, we have a representative from Windsor High and Smithfield High. Last year, Kali was our junior from Windsor High. She has moved up to our senior from Windsor High this year. And hopefully, next school year, when Kali graduates, Samantha will move up next year as our senior from Smithfield High School, and then Windsor High will appoint another representative. Okay, at this time, we will have our Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence led by our board member, Vice Chair, Mr. Cunningham.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Next on our agenda, we have Isle of Wight Achievers, and that will be led by our own Mrs. Lynn Briggs. And following the Isle of Wight Achievers, Mrs. Briggs will also do the special presentations.
The vision for Isle of Wight County Schools is to create a learning environment that will enable every child to discover his or her unique gifts and talents. The Isle of Wight Achievers section of our board meeting gives us an opportunity to recognize and celebrate our students and staff for their unique talents and gifts. First, we want to recognize our school division for winning a grant from America's Farmers Grow Communities. Local farmer Sean Carr of Carr Farms recently directed a $5,000 Bayer Fund America's Farmers Grow Communities donation to the Land Lab of Isle of Wight County Schools. The Land Lab will use the funds to build a smokehouse at the farm. The America's Farmers Grow Communities program, a Bayer Fund program, partners with farmers to provide grants to local nonprofits and schools to help their communities. Through the program, farmers enroll for the chance to direct a $5,000 donation to a local eligible nonprofit organization or school of their choice. Tonight, we would like to recognize local farmer Sean Carr and our farm manager Daniel Judkins and agriculture teacher Jason Brittle, and they're going to be bringing up the ceremonial check that was given to them through America's Farmers Grow Communities. So if y'all will come forward, please. And just stand here in front. All right.
Okay.
And Mr. Elliott's going to take a picture, and then he's going to get a picture in front of the backdrop.
Before you.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And just as a reminder, we recognize Ms. Carr and her husband, their business Carr Farms, in the spring as one of our Virginia School Boards Association business partners for all of the support they've given to our Land Lab program over the years.
Thank you.
All right. Tonight, we are going to start with our Seniors of the Month for the 2022-23 school year. This is our first meeting where we're recognizing seniors, and we'll continue doing that through May. We are going to start with our Windsor High School Senior of the Month, and that is Jemiah Benton. Windsor High. Mm-hmm. Jemiah represents the Windsor way in every way possible. She is helpful and kind to everyone, and she's going to stand right there and face the board while I finish reading all these lovely things about her. She possesses a caring nature that her classmates and staff immediately recognize upon meeting her. She is quick to volunteer to help out, no matter the need. She is welcoming and often assists new students as they traverse the hallways and get accustomed to their schedules. She understands the importance of and is able to maintain a balance between academics and extracurriculars. Jemiah served as a guide for the freshmen during Windsor High's Welcome to the Castle open house. She's a member of the Color Guard with the Marching Dukes Band and an active member of the Beta Club. She's in the second year of the cosmetology program, working to obtain her license, and is always professional when speaking with clients via the phone or in person. She's a wonderful role model for other students in our school. And that comes from Donna Bassett, cosmetology teacher, stated Jemiah is a mature young lady whose attention to detail is second to none. She strives for perfection in all tasks. She exhibits leadership qualities, readily stepping up to perform duties without hesitation and without prompting from me. She takes pride in her work and brings a positive attitude to our class every day. Jemiah plans on attending either Paul D. Camp Community College or CNU to study economics and or political science. And we congratulate you, Jemiah. And you can turn around now and face the audience, and if there are family members that want to get a photo. I think we've got family members coming up, and we'll get a picture of you in front of the backdrop as well, Jemiah. And Dr. Coleman has a pin for you. And family, you're welcome to get some photos, and if anybody wants to hop in the picture with Jemiah, feel free, and Mr. Elliott will get a photo of you in the picture. There we go.
Aww.
Oh, gosh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, she has a lot of family.
Just keep coming. You got more, Mr. Elliott.
Aww.
I was told she brought an entourage.
That's
She
good.
did.
She's very popular.
Very popular.
Yes, she is.
It's nice to have a group to celebrate with, isn't
Yes.
it? Yes. Congratulations, Jemiah. All right. Next, we have our Senior of the Month from Smithville High School, and that's Liz DeFleury. Liz is a self-starter who works hard and is extremely creative. She is dependable and a great role model for her peers. Her artistic skills in the areas of film, photography, and communication are exemplary. Liz is the president of the Library Advisory Council, and this month she created a tagline for the club. Everyone has a place, why not make it here? She has a vision for the club that is fun, inclusive, and supportive of all students. Lana Booth, school counselor, stated, Liz is amazing. Not only did she design the t-shirts worn by the mentors this year, she created a peer mentor Instagram account to spread positivity throughout SHS. She was the lead mentor for the mentor program and modeled high expectations and positivity. Liz would like to attend VCU and study arts and communication. We congratulate you, Liz, and if you turn around, Mr. Elliott will get a photo here and also at the backdrop. And if there are any family members that want to get a photo, now's the time as well. And we recognized Liz last year because a video she did for the Virginia School Boards Association student video contest placed out of all the state entries. Mm-hmm. So, and she has entered another one this year, so we may be seeing her again.
All right.
Yes.
That's great.
All right. At this point, we are going to recognize our ABCD award winner. Each quarter, we recognize one of our support staff members who's gone above and beyond the call of duty. Anyone throughout the division is invited to submit nominations. A panel reviews the nominees and selects the quarterly winners. Our 2022-2023 first quarter ABCD award winner is James Howell, garage technician in the transportation department. So Mr. Howell, if you'll please come forward. The nomination for Mr. Howell stated the following. During a 3-month transitional period, Mr. Howell filled the role of IWCS Fleet Supervisor. He created 45-day inspection cycles, ordered parts, and directly supported the IWCS Transportation Department. This allowed the incoming supervisor the ability to step in and continue forward progress flawlessly. Through his hard work and the hard work of his team, Mr. Howell was instrumental in ensuring that Fleet Services reached its 98% fleet readiness goal and ensured that IWCS was ready to kick off the 2023 school year with the safest and most reliable vehicles possible. As part of his award, James is receiving a $50 Visa gift card thanks to the generous support of Bluebird Bus Sales of Virginia. And he's also receiving a personalized plaque created in the Smithville High School Makerspace. And we congratulate you, Mr. Howell. And if you want to turn around at this point, Mr. Elliott, we'll get a picture here. Over there.
Mrs. Briggs.
Yes, ma'am.
Before Mr. Howell leave, I would like to thank Mr. Howell as well as all of the other personnel staff at Transportation, Isle of Wight County Schools Transportation Department. Last year, many of you parents knew that we had some trying days when we did not have a full staff of bus drivers, and the staff there, mechanics, whomever, they drove buses for us. Morning routes, evening routes, and any other route that they could run. Some of them had to do 2 mornings and 2 afternoons. But we thank you for what you did. And you can also thank your co-workers and tell them that the board appreciate what they did as well, okay? We don't want you all to think that, hey, it's one of those things, it's part of your job. No, it was not part of your job description, okay? But you stepped up to the plate. And that's what I like about the staff of Isle of Wight County School. They will step up to the plate for the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Howell. Okay. Isle of Wight County Schools has partnered with the United Way of Southampton Roads for many years. We hold an annual campaign to raise funds with the goal of helping members of our community who are in need of additional supports in their life. Last year, Isle of Wight County Schools donated over $29,000 to the United Way. We are recognizing 2 schools tonight for their efforts in supporting the United Way. The first is for the school that raised the most money for their campaign last year. With total donations of $10,289, we would like to recognize Westside Elementary Principal Matt Johnson and United Way Campaign Chairman Michelle Lanzalato.
All right.
Dr. Coleman. And we have a perpetual plaque with their name on the first plate. And Mr. Johnson said I should just not gone ahead and filled in Westside on all the plates, but we're going to give the other 8 schools an opportunity for that. But they will always be the first on that plaque. So we congratulate them very much.
Congratulations.
And we'll get a picture over there. Now, our second award goes to the school that raised the most money per student. That school, as I always like to say, is the small but mighty Carsville Elementary. With under 250 students, Carsville raised $4,466 for United Way. We would like to recognize Principal Pam Hatfield and the 2021 campaign chairman, Amy Carr, for their work with Carsville's United Way campaign last year. And the campaign for this year will be kicking off next week, running through November. So please support our United Way campaign again this year, and we'll see if we have repeat names on our plaques or if we see some new schools. But we encourage all of our employees and parents to participate in the campaigns through school-wide or individual donations. Together we can make a difference in the lives of others.
And they also have a special park, central office when they come up, but sometimes we have to park there.
Yes.
We're running out of space.
Yes. No. Now at this time, we have a special presentation from Jacob Peterson, Vice President of Resource and Development with the United Way of Southampton Roads. Mr. Peterson, you can join me right here if you like.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me here tonight. Just wanted to say a few words. So our United Way, your local United Way of Southampton Roads, we're actually coming up on celebrating 100 years serving the local community. And as we're reflecting on that time, we wanted to honor and recognize some key partners and organizations who have given back in a big way, not only through your everyday lives and everyday jobs that you do, but also in addition to that, through the annual campaign, through volunteerism. And so I just had a couple things I wanted to read off. Just in the last 4 years alone, Isle of Wight Schools has donated over $80,000 to help support this local community. That has impacted an estimated 15,000 lives here in this local community. It has provided critical funding support to more than 60 local nonprofit organizations. It has also allowed United Way to fund and to partner with key critical community organizations like Isle of Wight Christian Outreach, Rescue Mission, Mission of Hope, Luther Family, YMCA, and all of those organizations have been able to stay open and continue serving the community because of contributions by employees and students alike through this campaign. So we just wanted to stop by and say thank you to everybody who's involved in that. And we actually have an award we wanted to present. You all were a recipient of one of our 2022 Community Cares Awards that we'd like to present tonight as well.
Okay.
So at this time, I would like to ask any of our school campaign leaders that are in the audience if they would come up and join me with Mr. Peterson. We'll stand in front of the board for a photo, and then we'll scoot over to the side as well.
I have a quick question for Mr. Peterson while they're coming up.
Yes.
Mr. Peterson, you said Isle of Wight County was $80,000 over the 10 years. Is that the whole county or Isle of Wight County Schools?
Just Isle of Wight County Schools.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for that clarification.
Yes. Very good. It's on. It's my voice. I'm sorry. I'm not talking as loud. I'm still.
And this is going to conclude Isle of Wight Chambers tonight.
Thank you.
Testing. Mr. Johnson, can you hear me in the back? Thank you. Oh, she's finished? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. No, she had another one, I thought. Is that it?
That's it.
She's finished? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, next on our agenda, I was thinking Mrs. Briggs had something else for us tonight. Next on our agenda, we have Eye on Instructions, and this month, we have our little ones from Winds Elementary School. Come forward. We have a speaker of the house here. I see a parent who wanted to, you can come stand on the side if you like, if you want to do the video.
Good evening. My name is Gianna, and these are my classmates, Grayson and Kylie. We're here to talk to you tonight about how we build community in a first grade classroom. Every morning as I walk into class, my teacher greets me the way that I choose. After breakfast, we have morning meeting. One of my favorite activities are Hello Neighbor. I find a partner, greet them, shake their hand, and then we have a conversation. I ask them questions about their brothers and sisters, or their pets, or their favorite color. Then we find a new partner, someone we maybe haven't connected with on the playground or on the ball field. We shake hands, learn more about what they had for dinner last night, or their favorite books to read. We are improving our communication skills.
Oh, that was so cute.
Then we come back together and share something that we learned about our new friends. When we have something in common, we show that by using our connection sign. It makes me feel included. I like making connections with my classmates. I feel like I belong. Hello, my name's Emma. After Hello Neighbor, we walk to the carpet and we get to take turns leading the next part of morning meeting. I like to stand up in front of my class and lead the calendar activities. Then I pick another classmate to be the meteorologist, and they talk to us about whether we are improving our leadership skills.
Aw, so nice.
Hi, my name is Aubrey. Today we are learning how to be good friends. We read the book called The Fruit Salad Friend, where each fruit includes all of us when we are playing and learning together. We even got to make one where each fruit includes all of us when we are being kind. It was yummy.
Hi, my name is Nolan. In honor of October Bullying Prevention Month, we thank you for the opportunity to show you the ways we actively build communities in our classroom at Windsor Elementary School. Building strong and positive relationships with our teacher and our peers are the first step of preventing bullying.
All right.
Okay.
Good evening, my name is Journey. At my school, we understand that it's important to treat our peers with kindness and respect. I know I can always ask questions if I don't understand something. I feel safe when I make a mistake in math class because making mistakes and learning from them is how we grow. Thank you for allowing us to share our learning process with you. Do you have any questions for us?
Oh, they are so sweet. I would like to thank all of you for coming out tonight. I was just sitting here. I'm actually one of those people, I wish I were your age. Only reason because I wish I could just go to the classroom and participate in some of the activities that you all have today. See, when I were your age, we had nothing like that. We would come to school, sit in those desks, and just stay there. Most of the time, be quiet because if you were out of order, you got in trouble. But you all have so many things to do now in the classrooms, and this is just your morning activity. I can just imagine what you're doing by the end of the day. And thank you all for coming out. Thank the parents for bringing them out tonight. And hopefully, we'll get to see you again maybe next year, okay? And let us know what you're doing on the next level. Thank you. Okay, if you move over, they will take your picture in front of the Isle of Wight sign. We have parents want to take that picture too? We'll give Mr. Elliott an opportunity to take the group picture, and if the parent would like to go and stand next to their child, we will get that picture as well. Did you hear me, Mr. Elliott? I said take the group picture, and once you finish with that, if the parent would like to stand next to their child, then we will get that picture as well. Okay. To give them a chance to. Dr. Coleman and Ms. Rachel are in place. As soon as they finish, we'll. We will continue as soon as they finish with the photography, okay? Thank you. Okay, thank you again. And parents, if you look on, Twitter accounts or any of the Wight County School accounts, social media accounts, you will probably find your picture on there. I'm not going to tell you whether it's going to be there tomorrow, but very soon. Thank you. All right, next we have student activity audit, and we have Dr. Coleman and Ms. Rachel, and I always say Ms. Rachel because I have issue personally pronouncing her last name. But Mrs. Rachel, Director of Finance.
Madam Chair, board members. At this time, Ms. Trotlinger will be going over the FY 21-22 student activity account.
As you are aware, every year we have to have, by law, an external audit of our student activity funds. And the company that has performed that for the FY 21-22 school year is Robinson, Farmer, and Cox. And we have on Zoom meeting with us tonight Mr. Aaron Hawkins, who will be presenting the audit and any findings.
Okay.
Hey, can you hear me okay, Rachel?
Yes, sir, we sure can.
Perfect. So thank you for letting me do this remotely this evening. It's a very busy time of the year for us for all of our audits that we go to. We audit many of the counties and school boards in the state of Virginia, so any time that I can save from having to drive up and down the road is very appreciated. So I appreciate you all using this technology for me. I'm just going to take a moment to tell you about the audit process itself. And then I don't know if everyone there has a copy of any of the audit reports that we have, but I'm not going to talk about too much about what we have in the report itself, but I may just speak on a couple of things. So to talk about the audit process itself is, we coordinate our audits with the folks there in finance at the school board, and then they coordinate with the bookkeepers to let them know, what the schedule is going to be for us to come do these audits. And we go on site to every school there in the county, and we do it's a full day at the schools, and we come with teams, and when we go to the schools, we're making sure that each school is reconciling their bank account. We test a bunch of random disbursements to make sure that the controls are working right for when they pay invoices, that people are approving them, the right people are signing the checks, they're going through the right processes. We test random ones, and then we test all the largest ones as well. And then we do the same thing for receipt testing. We'll test random receipts that have come in and been collected by the bookkeepers, and we make sure that, first they tend to get collected by the teachers, so we make sure that they get turned in timely and accurately from the teachers to the bookkeeper, and then it gets deposited to the bank. And so we do all that at all the different schools, and at the end of the day, we do an exit with the bookkeeper and maybe the principal, and it seems like sometimes our job is to go over all the bad things or the errors that we find. We don't really get to hone in on all the great things that we see, and I think that all in all, I think the bookkeepers are doing a very good job there at the county. At the end of this report, you'll see little blurbs under each school where we have comments and recommendations. And as I was mentioning before, we discuss things there because they are, things that we did note in the controls. And like I said, we randomly test all these payables and all these receipts. And if we're testing 25 and we find 4 errors, well, if you had 200, you could extrapolate those errors. Probably you'd have, 4 times that number of errors if you were to test all of them. But in going through the report, one thing that I don't know if everyone has a copy of the report there or not, or if you can see the one that I'm flipping through all the various financials. If you can see my screen, there's a page for each school that shows what their beginning cash was, all the receipts and disbursements they had in the ending cash. And you'll see this for each school in the report. And then in the back is where you see kind of these comments and recommendations that we have. And one thing I'll kind of hone in on, I'm not going to talk about all of these because I said, the schools may have a certain comment where, hey, we noted that, a couple of receipts that we tested weren't deposited timely, or they weren't turned in timely to the bookkeeper. And while that's something that we do think is worth noting because it is a control error that we noted on our test, it doesn't rise to the level of what I would call a material error or something that we need to really spend a lot of time talking about. But one thing I will talk about is, the accounting system that's been used at the schools there, and I'm pretty sure it's all tied in with Munis, which is the software at the school board. And I think one great thing about it is that all the accounting systems, or all the, each school is all kind of integrated into what's at the county. So the county has access and can see, all the balances that get posted, and it all pulls it all together. And for that part of it's great. But one thing that's kind of been a little quirky for us when we started doing these audits last year, and last year was the first year that we audited the Wight County Schools, was it has a tendency to for interest, and for whatever reason, when you have voided checks and receipts, and the first thing I said was the monthly bank interest, when you have a bank account, you get interest every month. For whatever reason, it likes to try to post those items to transfers. And what a transfer is let's say you've got some money sitting in your general fund and you want to transfer that over to athletics for whatever reason, because you've approved to use this money for athletics. That's just an example I'm giving. You would do a transfer. You'd say, you're not actually moving money from a bank account. You're just saying, okay, we're going to move this money down out of general into athletics so that we can buy whatever it is that we've decided we wanted to utilize this money for. And really, that's just going from your right pocket to your left pocket. And for whatever reason, rather than post it as a transfer, which is an in and out of both accounts, it tries to, that's what a transfer should do. But when you post this monthly bank interest, for whatever reason, rather than recording it as a receipt, the system tries to post it into transfers, and it makes the transfers not in and out and in balance. It causes them to be out of balance. And and we still saw a little bit of that this year when we were going up to the various schools. I think some efforts have been made at some of the schools to correct it, but it's still kind of an ongoing thing that I think working with the provider, Munis, which is through Tyler Technologies, I mean, they're kind of a growing and being used by more and more places in the state. I would imagine they should be able to get, the schools able to have this interest in these things posting without having it go to the transfers. But again, I just want to reiterate, we do a whole ton of testing. These bookkeepers, we keep them busy all day long. I know they probably get sick of us by the end of the day, but I'm very appreciative of the work that they do, and I do think they're doing a good job there. And that's all that I had to go on. Is there any questions for me?
Any questions, board members?
I have a question, but I think it's probably geared more toward Ms. Tollinger. And it's on page 22 under Smithfield High. And it states, during our audit of the athletic receipts, we noted the gate receipts for receipt 31387 were not deposited. Do we know what happened to that?
I would have to reach out to the school to find out exactly what happened. Aaron, do you remember what they ended up telling you?
I would have to look into our work papers to figure out exactly what happened there. But we have all the information, and I'm sure we scanned in documentation for this particular receipt. But for whatever reason, we weren't able to trace that into being deposited. It could be that it was that receipt should have been voided, and they actually recorded it as a whole entirely different receipt. That is a possibility. But we picked this particular receipt number 31387, and but that one we weren't able to trace it in.
Okay, if you do some research and find out, if you can let us know, I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I'll be in touch with you, Rachel, on that one, and we'll be able to provide some more additional information.
Great.
Thank
So,
Thank you.
on that, he said, I know that was you randomly chose that particular receipt. So pretty much there's a possibility another one could have been missing as well. That was just the random one they chose and it happened to have been missing.
Right. That's as part of our procedures. We test a bunch of receipts, and then we always try to make sure that we test at least 5 athletic receipts from various football games, basketball games, and we usually pick another sport. And so that's just part of our process. So you're correct. So could there have been a problem with another receipt that we picked? There could have been. Like I said, we usually pick 5 of them, and this was a problem that we had with this particular receipt.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Are any more questions from any board members about this report? All right. We would like to thank him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hawkins.
And
Thank you.
I do.
Have a nice evening.
You too.
I do have recommendations for our staff after receiving this report, and I read over the report, and just as he said, first of all, well, I was just looking at it. Most of them pretty much had some of the same mistakes. Maybe they were looking for those particular findings under the recommendations and all. I would recommend maybe our staff do some staff training with the bookkeepers. I'm not saying they're making mistakes, but sometime, I don't know when the last time you had training with them, but majority of the schools, they were making some of the same mistakes. So maybe we could do some training with them, and maybe
when we had convocation and we have the afternoon that's for staff development, we had the preliminary audit findings, and we always every year meet with all the bookkeepers.
Okay,
I meet with
okay.
all the bookkeepers and anybody that uses the financial system from the front end, not necessarily the back end people. And we go through all of these preliminary findings to make sure that we do address that. We also are required to do an internal audit at least once a year, and so we usually plan to do that in January or February at the latest, and so that gives us an opportunity to do the same thing the auditors do. We randomly select transactions to review and make sure that the signatures are there, they're being posted correctly, they're being counted on the right day, they're making sure that they've deposited appropriately. So we do check that, but errors do happen. We're all human. I don't think any of things as Mr. Hawkins said, none of these are findings to the point that anybody's in trouble. It's just something we point out. And another one that they point out every single year, because we are a very small school, is it's hard to get the true checks and balances in place because we don't have the staff. So we do everything we can with the staff that we have to make sure there's no way that there could be any kind of fraud going on. But we always have to, that ends up always being a comment or a recommendation. If you have the funds someday, add the appropriate staff so that there's enough people in the buildings that can make sure to divide up the responsibilities appropriately.
Okay. I mean, I wasn't saying that there were anything, they were doing anything wrong. I was just saying maybe we could do some type of training, but you just explained to me you do the training, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
See, a lot of things as a school board, we don't know exactly when you're doing it or what you're doing, but you explain it to us tonight when they get their training, and I appreciate that.
Yes,
and I know, like I said, most of the findings they found, it was across the board, so I knew it wasn't anything fraudulent. It was just maybe, like you said, they need some help, like a staff, that's understanding. And of course, we're still coming out a pandemic, so some of that could have been tied in with the end of that too as well. And I appreciate everything you all do, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you.
Also, on that note, I would like to thank the bookkeeping staff, I guess, of Carsville Elementary, Hardy Elementary, and Westside Elementary, because there were no recommended findings or recommendations on the audit for those 3 schools. Thank you. Okay. Did you all have anything else on the report that you all wanted to discuss?
No.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. All right. We have, next on the agenda, we have requests to speak on agenda items.
In accordance to policy BDDH-E, presentation of information on any subject will be concluded at the discretion of the board. No person will be recognized to speak more than once. Citizens scheduled on the agenda to speak will be permitted 4 minutes maximum time for their presentation. Delegations will be requested to limit their speakers to 2. Persons speaking are asked to be specific, state the issues for the board's consideration, and attach a copy of your prepared remarks. If you have prepared remarks, they should be given to the board clerk. Please do not approach the board members. Any matter relating to specific students will be heard by the school board only in a closed meeting.
Okay, thank you.
First, we have Mr. Herb DeGroff.
Madam Chair, before I begin my remarks, we have a mutual interest, if I might make a comment about the smokehouse thing, because we all know how much the culture and history of Wight County has to do with smokehouses. So, Dr. Kramer, this is an opportunity for our CTE students to maybe build the smokehouse, the carpentry crew.
Oh, for the...
Followed by building an abattoir. Thank you very much. Herb DeGroff, the Carsville District. The finance report continues to amaze me how we spend money. Another $60-some thousand for buying more aligned curriculum. I don't understand that. I thought we did that last year. I know, according to one board member, Wight County Schools has lots of money. I'd still like to see it spent effectively and efficiently. Dr. Kramer, I hope as you begin to look at your organization chart, you will take a look at the total cost of salary and benefits of the central office staff compared to the whole budget. It exceeds what the average cost is across the 130 school divisions, by and large, significantly. So I hope you will make the necessary adjustments. Now, earlier today, I sent all of you this afternoon my comments relative to the CTE building center facility and the FFA policy that you're going to review here this evening. Last month, my member very pointedly stated why they chose not to vote for what the majority did. And I realized one member wasn't present, but hey, I'm sure they have their thoughts on what was done too, and will make them known eventually. But remember this, policy FFA, whether you look at the 2004 or the 2012 version or the version that you're looking at doing tonight, remember one thing, the bottom line. And even though we've had Mickey Mousing with words about the building or center or facility, they're all rather synonymous. The big thing is, like those of us that are old enough to remember when that cadaver woke up on the table and the mad scientist said, "He's alive." The person you named this after, he's alive. Therefore, he hasn't been dead for 10 years, and you violated the policy totally by naming it after a person That's alive. Correct that tonight. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Mark Wooster.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members. My name is Mark Wooster. I reside in District 2. I've got a couple of topics I'd like to address tonight. The first one is Agenda Item 16.3 on job description for the Security and Emergency Specialist position. You will be voting on this evening. I merely want to say that I do hope that you vote to approve this job description for the position, as it does fall in line with my priorities as a concerned citizen and parent. The safety and security of all students and staff in Isle of Wight County is paramount. The second item I want to address is Agenda Item 19.1. This is policies for first read, policy II8. Sorry, couldn't read my writing. Instructional materials. The Virginia Department of Education model policies concerning instructional materials with sexually explicit content was developed as required by Senate Bill 656, and it was effective August 4th, 2022. This policy requires schools to provide parental notification of any materials that have sexually explicit content. The policy also requires school boards adopt policies that are consistent with, but may be more comprehensive than the model policies. The Code of Virginia, Section 2.2-2827, defines sexually explicit content as any description of any picture, photograph, drawing, motion picture film, digital image, or similar visual representation depicting sexual bestiality, a lewd exhibition of nudity, sexual excitement, sexual conduct, or sadomasochistic abuse, defined in Section 18.2-390. Coprophilia, urophilia, and fetishism is also included. Policy IIA, instructional materials, is on the agenda for the first read tonight. Although this policy has been revised to meet the minimum requirement of the Virginia Department of Education, it is in no way more comprehensive than their policy. The definitions of sexually explicit content provided do not have any place in instructional materials. I urge the board to be proactive and continue to revise this policy using moral decency, make it more comprehensive, and protect our children by preventing this type of material from ever infiltrating our schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mrs. Heidi Schwartz. Mr. Jason Marsh.
Good evening, Jason Marsh, District 4. Oh, for the sake of time, I don't want to waste anybody's here. Mr. DeGroff and I share the same concerns about financials, so I echo his concerns with the money aspect, as well as his comments on policy FFA. I think you guys violated that policy. We can split hairs on semantics all you want. It is what it is. On at least 2 occasions, I've sat in this audience and I've listened to the chair recite what she believes to be the school board's official duties as posted on the Isle of Wight County website. It's worth noting that these do not mirror the approved policy BBA. I'll say it again. What's on the website on the homepage for the board is not the same as the policy BBA. As an example, BBA states that you are to ensure, and I quote, that the school laws are properly explained, enforced, and observed. Clearly, Madam Chair, you are not familiar with all the existing policy. And you can't expect to hold anyone else accountable if you can't hold yourself accountable. And as our recommendation, I would suggest that you look at policy BBA and add a line item that says school board members shall be familiar with all existing school policy. I think that's a fair request of all citizens. On the agenda, you got the org chart as an action item, which is great. I'm glad to see Dr. Kramer's looking at making some changes. I think the public deserved a chance to look at that and make comments. I never got to see it, so I don't have much of a comment other than thanks for ignoring my request. I echo Mr. Wooster's comments about the 16.3 emergency management. And then on financials, I brought this up in July, but on the September check register, we paid Norfolk Public Schools $354,000 plus in sped tuition. I assume that was for CSEP, but I don't know. I'm asking for someone to let me know what that was specifically. And if it is CSEP tuition, how much tuition is per child? Windsor High School is listed as a vendor for $758 for instruction materials. How is a high school a vendor for instruction materials? I'm sure there's a good answer, but it's not clear on the registry. Once again, Bank of America credit card has $48,000 as a vendor. Several of those expenditures are just referenced to PO. So again, we don't know what you bought or who you bought it from. And then there's $18,000 spent at Amazon.com. And again, several expenditures are only referencing a PO number. So we don't know what the schools bought.
1 minute.
And I'm sure there's good purchases in there, but taxpayers deserve to know what are we spending our money on. I look forward to hearing some discussions on some of these items. Thanks.
That's it, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, next, board member committee reports and information. Okay.
Yeah, Madam Chair. This week, Mr. Cunningham, Mr. Christensen, and myself attended the National Threat Assessment Conference for the week. It was a very intense conference, so we're still in the process of trying to digest all the information that was provided. So it's our intent to provide solid input at next month's meeting.
Okay. Did anyone else have any? All right. I have several myself. I did a virtual, and this was with the Virginia Education Association. It was October the 6th, 2022. They did several workshops. One was on the Freedom of Information Act for you, and I did complete that. It was presented with the executive director, Mr. Alan Gerhardt, and it was very informative. He updated us on some of the new things that have changed with FOIA since July 1. We also had Virginia Literacy Act that was updated, and we were updated on that as well. Cybersecurity and You, and the advocacy conference that was presented by Ms. Stacy Haney. And all of those were, she is the lobbyist for the Virginia School Board Association, chief lobbyist. And that virtual workshop, it was from 9 in the morning until about 2:45 that day. And like I said, it was very informative. I also did some private ones and workshops. And one that I had was, I Feel You Impact and Listening Skills. That's pretty much was talking about listening to the public, the board listening to the public when they come out, and providing opportunities in our meeting for the public. And like I said, it was all very informative. You can use, sometimes you learn a lot of things from just participating in these workshops. Did we have any other board members that attended any meetings or anything related to Wight County Schools this month? Okay. If none, we'll move on to the next item. And on the next item, we have a financial presentation with Mrs. Wallinger. Trollinger, okay. I always want to put a "tur" in there.
It's okay. That's
Trollinger.
okay.
I'm sorry, Ms. Trollinger.
Not a problem. I go by Rachel too.
Okay.
You have before you the financial presentations for September of 2022. And in the financial presentations, I would like to point out that last year at this time, we had expended or encumbered 23.6% of our budget. And this year, it's at 26%. I will make the comment, it's a little bit higher than it was last year, but we've done a really good job of encumbering some of our spend down grant funds. So that's showing in your encumbered items under the operations and maintenance category, which we don't normally do this far in advance. Any questions on the financials?
Thank you very much.
We also have the facility usage report. And at this point, we have collected $66,490 towards a $250,000 expected budget. Check register, the summary check register, and the large ticket items. I'll just point out the large ticket items there. We did have to pay Norfolk Public Schools for our SPED student tuition this year in the amount of $357,246.63. We also had some work done to continue working on our Carrollton mechanical piping projects. We were paying for some of our new Hardy work that's been completed. We also had purchasing of some interactive whiteboards, and we had our Star 360 renewal. And I'll entertain any questions you might have.
Yes, ma'am. I
Yes.
do have one question. Just echoing what Mr. Marsh had asked about making the checkbook more transparent so that the folks at home and the members here can see exactly what we are getting for our money, what we're spending it on. How difficult is doing something like that?
I would need to know exactly what details you're looking for. We only have a certain number of characters in the description line. We have for all of our backup purposes, we know exactly the receipts and the purchases that are made, but we try to categorize it in as small as we can, whether it's instructional materials or whether it happens to be for a field trip if it's for students, whether we're buying other materials for car parts, bus parts, tires. We try to keep it very short and sweet from a descriptive perspective.
Yeah, well, I think what he was getting at, and this is a concern that I've had, since before I came on the board, is we've got instructional materials is one thing, and that could cover a whole gamut of things. Contracted services is something else. Materials and supplies is as a third thing that I saw, on this month's check register. And so I'm just wondering, is there a way to get a little bit more granularity into that?
We can certainly look into it. I guess I would need a little bit more guidance because those are the divisions or the categories that are defined by the Department of Education. So instead of saying we bought 15 pencils, we say that we bought instructional materials for the classrooms. If we bought something that the students aren't using and we might be using up at the central office, then we say that's a material and supply. Those are definitions that are defined by DOE, and we just follow those guidelines.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any more questions or concerns for our financial director at this time?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for doing an excellent job. We appreciate what you're doing and continue to follow the Virginia Department of Education guidelines. Thank you. Write it. Okay.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Kramer. First thing I'd like to speak to you all about tonight is the workforce grants. This is a grant that was developed by our lead nurse, Nurse Roddy, in collaboration with her team. It's a grant that was established by the Virginia Department of Education in collaboration with the Virginia Department of Health, and it offered the grant to expand, train, and sustain the health workforce. So this grant is looking to be utilized for things such as professional conferences, electronic record-keeping system to kind of move that more paper-based system that we have in place into a more streamlined electronic version, replacing desks, chairs, office equipment in our clinics, as well as adding on some technology associated with those jobs. So what we are looking for tonight is for you all to approve that grant so that we can move forward with that process.
Okay. You heard the explanation coming from Mr. Christensen about the workforce grant. What is your pleasure?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the workforce grant in the amount of $80,000 and request allocation from the Board of Supervisors to admin, attendance, and health category.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. At this time, if there are no discussion, we'll ask for a vote.
There we go.
Motion passes, vote 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm actually going to stay up for the next part. Before we move on, though, I was hoping I was just informed that Nurse Roddy is actually in attendance here tonight.
Okay.
She's worked really, really, really hard on this grant, and if you don't mind, I'd just like to recognize her as well.
We like to put, is she in the audience? Stand so we can see you. I'm glad you did that, because a lot of times we get accused of a lot of things, okay? We're just the school board. We do not work in the buildings, okay? We just work up here on the stage once a month whenever we have meetings. And I saw Mrs. Roddy one day, I think it was during the summer, and I happened to walk up to central office, and she had some staff with her, and she was walking around, and I said, "Oh, are you new?" She said, "Well, I've been here for a while." See, we don't get to see staff like that. Unless you come to our meetings, we normally don't know you, but I recognize you now. Thank you for coming out tonight.
All right, so I'm going to jump right into the support services and operations update for October. The first item is we had obviously Ian come through here recently, and just kind of wanted to update the board on some of the preparations that took place for that storm, and for any kind of storms or potential flooding that we might have. So one item that we make sure that is done right away is to ensure that all of the roofs and gutters are clear anytime you're expecting heavy rains. If those gutters are not freshly cleaned, you're asking yourself for trouble in terms of leakage, potential damage, technology, furniture, very expensive items. So it all starts on the roof, and so we make sure that those roof and gutters are cleared. Next is to place sandbags in vulnerable areas. We really identify areas around the county where we know, hey, this is an area of concern, and make sure that those sandbags are replenished and placed strategically. Another one is going to be to work closely with the county officials as well as the sheriff's office. Definitely going to be texting and calling with county officials throughout the evening and early morning hours. Anytime there's an incident like this. Sheriff's office as well. Sheriff's office is also an outstanding resource in terms of road conditions. Mr. Blackwell and his transportation team, they've got their people on the ground as well, but we know the sheriff's office has always got people on the ground on the roads as well, so I make sure to communicate with them in that regard as well. Identify issues quickly to mitigate. That's really the name of the game here. Anytime you do have a major storm coming in, you can expect something to happen, but it's all about identifying that quickly, doing everything we can to mitigate. So we're working with our facilities team, making sure if we do identify a leak, it's immediately trash cans placed under, get up on the roof with a tarp, do whatever we have to do, because the faster you can identify something, the better. We don't want something leaking all weekend and then coming in Monday to find out. By then, we're in major trouble. Coordinating with surrounding counties on the road conditions, that's something that we're really making sure that we are communicating with transportation departments and operations teams across really the region. What are you all seeing over there? And making sure that it's a collaborative effort. Ultimately, we're going to make a decision what's best for Isle of Wight and our student, staff, and community, but having those other individuals to network with is always helpful in this process. And then last item, we really want to use the information to strengthen our preventative measures. And so an example I can use with that is the flooding that used to occur right behind Westside here. That's something that we saw was an issue when we had major rains, and we identified that and were able to make a fix. So anytime we do have a storm come through, we use it as an opportunity to identify where our weaknesses might be so that we can make those changes for next time around.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's
Yes, very exciting. So the special education modular unit is in place. So yes, still a lot of work to be done. We really are looking to the next phases now, but it's just sort of a mental and physical barrier to get over to actually get that unit into place. So we'll now begin the next phases. Some of those phases are going to be working with Dominion to establish electricity, getting the plumbing and sewage hooked up and connected, getting technology, furniture in, getting the ADA compliant sidewalks and rampage in. So still a lot of work to be done, but it's nice to have the unit there, and we are making progress towards getting Ms. Magner and her team in a much nicer home.
And I understand Ms. Magner already had an opportunity to get in there. And you put your little tags. I don't blame you, honey. I'd have done the same thing. Excited. You just can't have something like that out there and not get into it.
Also wanted to highlight a renovation that was done over the summer. This had to do with a Windsor High School bathroom renovation and really centered around accessibility for a student with special needs. Okay. We worked closely with Ms. Magner and the special education department to determine exactly what needed to be done to that bathroom to ensure accessibility for that specific student and make sure that that bathroom was ADA compliant. These are ever-changing scenarios every year, so it's something that every single year we look at, okay, our students with special needs, what schools are they going to, what halls are they in? I mean, very specific, and we have got to be on the ball because these kind of changes, and I'm going to show you a picture here of the work that was done, really major work that needed to be done, but we've got to be able to work closely with the special education department to make these efforts done, so thank you, Ms. Magner, for working with us. And hopefully you can get a good look there at that bathroom. It's absolutely beautiful. It is, yeah, the tile work is wonderful. I was unfortunately not able to get some of the before pictures, but hopefully you get a sense for the work that was done here. Really renovated that entire bathroom. It looks beautiful. The work was quite extensive in nature because they had to connect to the sewage behind it as well, but we were able to get it done in time and make sure that that bathroom is accessible. So I just wanted to highlight that work.
Is that restroom is just for one individual at a time, or is
one individual at a time? Yes,
okay.
Ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. Happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
No, that's all I had.
I have one question for you. On the modular units, what's the lifespan of these?
20 years.
How long do we expect them to last the county? 10 years, 15, 20?
It's about 20.
And when you start talking about modular units, you need to focus on what are we using it for? The more of the population that's going through it, it actually drains it down or it takes it up with the less amount of individuals. Right. So modular travel, like if you want to just point out like CO compared to the SPED, then it's a total difference compared to what it's being used for on a regular basis, meetings and individuals coming in and out. But on average, you can say 15 to 20 years, 20 years being the max with the number of individuals that the unit was designed for only in there. But if it's a larger population in it, it does decrease in size. I mean, it does decrease in years.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Because the new modulars that we have up at Carsville Elementary, possibility, if they told us 20 years, because we're going to have students in and out of them, the older students, it may last maybe 10, okay?
Okay.
And then they could be coming back again, that we need to, hopefully by that time, we may be, doing something different.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, is that all? Mr. Christensen?
I believe I have the next item
Okay.
as well.
You
Yeah,
have a lot.
I don't want
That's
to break
right.
anything here.
Okay. This MOU.
Yes, ma'am. So we did consult with Pack and his team after the last board meeting based off the board comments, and are now presenting to you all our updated draft of the MOU with the Sheriff's Department, and we are asking for action on that item tonight.
Okay. I think all of our board members had an opportunity to read it because it's actually been on the agenda for a couple of months now, going back and forth. So, as a matter of fact, we tabled it and brought it back this month.
All right, we're good.
I read it.
Okay. All right, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the sheriff MOU as presented.
Second.
It has been motion. We have a motion and a second to approve the sheriff's MOU as presented. At this time, if we don't have any concerns or discussions, we will vote. Motion passes with a 5-0. Thank you. 5-0 vote. Thank you very much. This is it.
One more for me,
One
yes,
more for
ma'am.
you, that's right. The auction items.
Yes, ma'am. So the auction items that we have on the agenda, so one item you're going to notice is going to be a truck from our transportation fleet. Pretty basic here, just our fleet supervisor came to me and advised that the cost to repair the truck exceeded the value of the truck itself. So we're looking to get as much money as we can for it at auction, and then to assess what our options are for replacing that vehicle entirely. The other item that you're going to notice is going to be a boiler from Smithfield High School. The boiler, at this point, it's not in use. It was no longer in use with the renovations that were done at Smithfield High School a number of years ago. So at this point, it's really just a gigantic boiler taking up a lot of space. So really, we're hoping to do two things at one time here to get some money for the boiler, hopefully, and then also once it gets cleared out, to clear out a lot of space, which we know that our schools are always looking for a number of different items. But getting that thing out of there is going to clear up a lot of space. It's very big, as I'm sure you were hopefully able to tell by the picture.
Okay. Any more questions about that?
No.
The auction items? At this time, we need a motion. That's an action item.
Okay. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the listed items to be placed up for auction due to costs of repairs and age of items.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the listed items to be replaced for auction due to the costs and the repairs and the age of the items. At this time, if we have we do not have any concerns about this or any discussions, we will take a vote. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. Okay. Next on our agenda, we have New Hardy Elementary updates.
Madam Chair, school board members, the New Hardy construction status update. What you're going to see is the drone shot going around in those 4 quadrants that we always use just to make sure that we stay afloat with the construction that's going on. As you can see, now it's starting to take more of a shape where you can see the student and the parent drop off right in front of the school. And what you're looking at now is the front entrance of the school with the admin offices on one side and the parent center on the other. At this time, going around, you can see the kitchen starting to come into full sight. Also, the auditorium and the cafetorium that's combined. The installation for the building has now been put on the outside. And this is very recent, October 7th, but right now they're really moving. This week they focused on, and that's the construction, MBCon focused on the second floor and putting the concrete down for the second floor. So hopefully before December, we have all of the roofs on the building so that we can really get to work inside of the building to protect it from the weather.
Okay.
As you can see, this is Wing E, looking at the second floor at this time.
That's big.
And moving right around. This is on the back side of the old Hardy, and to the bottom left, you'll see it in a second, will be the water tower. The last wing that will be built is the wing that we're looking at now. This is the one that is closest to Old Hardy, and this one will be, at the end, will be 3 feet away from Old Hardy. Once the construction is completed, will be 3 feet away from the Old Hardy. And of course, that will be the bus drop-off in the morning, the student drop-off in the morning.
Okay.
You can see the water tower in the back, and we'll have another little small clip of the water tower to get a closer view of it. Closer view of the admin offices, the front entrance. And once again, moving toward the auditorium and the cafeteria. The kitchen area mechanical rooms are located on your bottom right. And I believe now you're going to get a very clear picture view of the art room right in the nook between those two buildings right there. You'll see the art room. You'll see the big gallery window. The crane is going through it at this time, but the big gallery window that's going to be an art room. All right. And that is it for the drone shots for this month.
I would like to thank you for the drone shot, and this is the first time I think we've had an opportunity this week. Dr. Coleman and Dr. Kramer, I said Dr. Coleman first because that's his project, but last week we had an opportunity. They took 2 groups in to the Hardy Elementary School. All of us were invited, as well as the members of the Board of Supervisors. Mr. Jefferson, myself, and Mr. Cunningham, we went, was it last Thursday? For 1 o'clock, we had set aside 1 to 4. And so while he was talking about those things, hey, I could picture it in my mind what was going on. And actually, the front of the building, as we walked in, and we were talking about the vestibules, some previous meetings, and we could actually see the picture how it's going to work. And it's perfect because as you walk in, all guests will walk right up into the desk area. And if they're there to pick up, if a parent is there to pick up a child, at no times would they have to walk into the main part of the school. The nurse's office is going to be on one side, and the child, the parent can, get the child without going to, well, put it this way, it will be all safe for everyone in the building if a guest should enter the building. Yes, and this is, hopefully it's going to be the same thing for Westside Middle School when we build that. And the other schools, we're going to upgrade them to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, but we could actually see it coming. We could see the picture there at the new Hardy Elementary.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's not something, it's just that Wight County is doing. If you could see, if you go out and you have an opportunity to visit some of the newer schools out there, especially the ones in Suffolk, you'll see that.
Yes, you did.
And I really enjoyed my visit that day, and we got to communicate with a few of the workers out there. And if you go out there, it's like a whole little city out there. Have a lot of people working on behalf of the students of Wight County.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions, ma'am?
And I don't know when we're going to have another tour. Like Dr. Coben said, hopefully in December they'll have all of the roofing on.
Right.
As a matter of fact, the drone he just showed, we were out last Thursday. They didn't have the roofing on that building. They were in the process because of the bad weather we had with.
Yes, ma'am.
It delayed them a few days, but I see it's up there. So hopefully we just ask for some good weather so we can stay on, keep that building on time as far as completion, okay?
Right. And
it's
the next
important.
walkthrough, yeah, ma'am, the next walkthrough will be mid-February,
Yeah, I figure
early
that
March,
once all of the
based off of
roofing
weather.
and they can get to work on the inside, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because for us just to visit, it takes time from them as well. And the construction director has to come out and walk through us for safety reasons. They have to walk us through. We have to have our safety equipment on just as they have to have theirs on. And some of the workers had to shut down some of their little duties as we were walking by for safety reasons.
Right.
So we don't want to be up there every day, every week. Okay, we scheduled the times, and that was the first time we had the opportunity to go in as a group.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Any other questions?
No, I don't.
Perfect.
Any questions? Did you have one? Hold up, Dr. Coleman. Mr. Vines.
No, it's more of a joke. I was going to try to get the art room named after me.
Okay, all right. Now, I know some of you did not have an opportunity to go up there, but I'm sure if you get with Dr. Coleman and is pressing that you would like to see it, it's not an issue. I think just one person go at a time, Doctor. And here, just get with Dr. Coleman, because I know everybody is not on the same schedule, but we try. Thank you. All right, next thing on the agenda, we have technology update.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair, Board,
Mr.
Dr.
Cooper.
Cronin. Yes, ma'am. I don't get to come up before you very often, but when I do, I enjoy it. So thanks for letting me come up. I did want to start with, I always try to update the board on the status of one of the grants that our competitive grant that we go for every year. In the past, you may remember 18-19, we were awarded the maximum amount of $100,000. In 19-20, we were awarded $41,000. $151,000 in 2021, and last year we received $231,200 because they raised the maximum amount over the past 2 years. And this year we have also submitted again. We haven't heard yet. Usually prior to COVID, we would always hear sometime in October, November timeframe. Since COVID, it's more like December, I think. Lynn would know that better than me. But we have submitted this year, so just wanted to update you. We are continuing our interior door lock projects, which has been very well received at the school level. What that does is replaces a keyed lock on a classroom with a badge reader door, which not only increases security by not needing master keys and that sort of thing, and by, say you need to immediately disable a badge, they no longer have access to it, but it does also integrate with our emergency communication system. So if someone should press the emergency alert buttons, all the classrooms will go back to a state that they're designed for. So exterior doors make it so that no one can enter the building except for the admin of the building and police, fire, EMS. Classrooms, while teachers can unlock the doors, it will go back to a locked state that they can still get into. So I just wanted to let you know we are continuing that. We are also putting on GTMS camera upgrades at Georgie Tyler. Those were bought in 2014. They are approaching end of life at this point, so we're looking to get those replaced, and that's about 74 cameras. Requested cost of $320,000 with a requested reimbursement of $250,000. So should they fund the entire project, there will be $70,000 of local. Part of that is a required local match, and part of that is just to complete the project that you wanted to start. It's also an estimate, and we all know that technology, I could get a quote today and tomorrow it's probably not valid anymore. So, exactly. I also wanted to update you on our year-over-year work orders. I try to do this every year just to give you an idea of how busy our department actually is with our limited staff. You'll see there's a major spike last year on calls, which was expected. There was one day last year where we did receive 648 calls in one day. It's a little crazy, but that was right at the beginning of the year. We are still extremely higher on a call volume at our help desk than prior to COVID. Prior to COVID, it was more like 50 or 100, and last year it was 1,700, so we're still well above pre-COVID numbers. So I do staff that help desk every single day, every student day. If it's a teacher work day, we don't staff it, but every student day we do staff that help desk as needed, usually one technician, sometimes two if it's expected high volume day. We also have gone up on our work orders another several thousand, so we stay very busy. I also wanted to update you on some projects that we've gotten done over the summer of this year and over the past several months. So a couple of the big ones, the new Hardy technology, I did want to bring to your attention. This is an important one just by the fact that it does save the division large volumes of money, which I always like. So it is possible to put your low voltage technology needs into a general bid for a building. Those would be things like alarm systems, public address systems, emergency communication systems, those sorts of items. Instead of doing that and getting the general contractor markup on those, we are doing those all in-house. I spent the past probably year making sure that I had contracts ready and waiting for all the necessary systems so that we could save, I think last time I spoke to Dr. Coleman about it, he was saying that we probably saved 10 to 15% just by doing it in-house, which when you're talking over $1 million, that's a big savings. A lot of work. Another thing that we've also recently completed is the PK2 upgrades, which is iPads. That's 1,300 iPads we just put out in our pre-K2 classrooms, and we are continuing that project with our SPED classrooms with help from Ms. Magner. And we are also going to do upgrades in some of the alternate class settings, such as makerspaces, libraries. Little Sprouts is also on that list. So we haven't finished that project yet, but we're well on our way. We've gotten the 1,300 out. We're working on the next set. The interactive whiteboards were talked about during the financial presentation as well. That is Promethean boards that we went out to bid for earlier this year. We put those in every third grade classroom was our default goal. We did complete that over the summer. And with the help of Dr. Kale in the instruction department, we got every single teacher training for those items. And there is a second training because, you know, you learn some prior to using it, but most of what you really want to know is going to be that second training because you've used it for a little while. I did also ensure that we had an interactive whiteboard available in this new model and style at every school in their PLC room just to make sure that everybody had a chance to use it, and we've gotten some really positive feedback on that project as well. So if you had any questions about those particular projects, otherwise I just wanted to move on to our numbers as they are, which is currently, and this was as of 10/3, I pulled all these numbers. We have 1,706 active iPads. We have 2,376 active Chromebooks and 3,516 active MacBooks for our students. That is not only active, obviously that's larger than our student count, but that's because there are places where we have to have spares, and then they have Chromebooks options at the high schools for those that have their device being repaired for one reason or another. We also have extras in buildings for carts in case a student forgets to charge their device the night before, all those sorts of things. So we are higher than our student count, but that's our active student count as of 10/3, which is lots of devices. So does the board have any questions?
No. Thank you.
Nope. Thank you.
We have actually reached our goal because about 8-9 years we were sitting here, and that was the plan to actually, I guess, get to the pre-K, and we made it.
We did.
Thank you.
COVID accelerated that a little bit, but we did.
I guess some of you thinking, 8 years, that's a long time. No, it's not when it comes to technology, okay? It's like, that could pretty much be overnight. But thank you. We reached that goal in getting a device in the hands of all of the students in Wight County. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Vines.
And it's a great thing that we've got a device in every student's hands, but there's still areas of the county that we don't have high-speed internet at. So are we addressing those areas yet? We're taking advantage of the RDOF grant and the VADI money that's available to get trunks pulled in these areas that we still don't have high-speed internet, like at Winsor Elementary School. We need to take advantage of those funds while they're still available. Those grant money, those grant funds are there, and I think I spoke with someone at Charter last week. Going to be reaching out to the schools to find out if we can get some high-speed trunks pulled into these areas because funding is there. It's good we have those devices, but if the kids can't go online and use them.
I totally agree. I know a little bit about this, so I am on the task force that we have in the county. We actually met a couple of weeks ago. That's run by Mr. Robertson at the county level, and there are many citizens on that task force. More than welcome to have anybody come out and sit and enjoy, but the county did submit a multi-jurisdictional grant request to VADI, I believe I've said that correctly, and was awarded a significant sum for Southampton, Franklin, Suffolk, and Isle of Wight.
Yeah,
That project is beginning, and as of the last meeting, which we will know more at the November meeting, which I believe is November 14th at the Board of Supervisors room, I believe his estimate at the time was April of 2023, they will have their first customers active in Isle of Wight. Now, obviously, that timeline may change, and I am not the specialist on that particular, I just am part of the task force, so I know a little bit about that. I also know that VADI and RDOF are county jurisdictional grants, I believe is the way that Mr. Robertson explained them to me, which is why we cannot access them directly. However, the county has definitely done a ton of work receiving large funds, and that will service a lot of the community. They're starting in the south end and working northwest, I believe.
You're correct. That's an Isle of Wight County community project. So therefore, that's taken care of through the Board of Supervisors and staff.
Yes,
Right.
and as I said, the
But-
county has done just gobs and gobs and gobs
they've
of
been
work on that.
and I think also it has a lot to do with the delay. They're waiting for the 5G to be in place as well in Isle of Wight County, which that goes on board December as well.
Okay, I'm unaware of that information.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everything had steps to take place, but it's coming. Okay, it's coming. It's coming. Like I said, a few years ago, it was just a thought. Okay,
I
it
agree.
is here today. It is here. We can see the end of that tunnel.
It is on its way.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. I'm going to forward an email that I got from Charter.
Okay.
That'll update you as soon as, I think it's going to be a lot sooner than 2023 from the email I just got last week.
I can't quite hear you, Mr. Fine.
I got an email from Charter that I'm going to forward to you, so I think that the year 2023 is going to come a little sooner than what we anticipated.
Excellent.
Okay, good. Glad to hear those things. Any more questions for Mr. Cooperrider? No. Thank you very much, Mr. Cooperrider, for your
Yes,
update.
ma'am.
And while Mr. Cooperrider is returning to his seat, I want to go back to the new Hardy update. I did say we had 2 dates that we visited the school, and I mentioned the fact that Mr. Jefferson, Tynes, and Cunningham did Thursday. That Monday, which Monday of this week, we had Board of Supervisors member, Mr. Grice, County Administrator, Mr. Keaton, and we had School Board member, Mrs. Dow. Did I miss anyone? Of course, our staff, Dr. Kramer and Dr. Colvin, them were there as well. And we had those 2 dates, and those people attended. Okay, thank you. I didn't want to, I wanted to make sure I had the names correctly. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the report from Dr. Kramer, the superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Oh, I get to advance myself. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. So I can't blame anyone for mistakes here. So, Madam Chair, I will be sharing, actually from this point forward, school and community events that I have been a part of and have had the pleasure of participating in. And I will also be highlighting various events that I think warrant noting. So let's sort of jump in here. So the first one consists of the listening tours that I had the pleasure of attending and hosting with some of our staff. I had the pleasure of having Mr. Colick, I think, was in attendance at the George E. Tyler. As you see the dates there, September 29th and then October 6th. And although they were held at George E. Tyler for the Windsor community and Smithfield for the Smithfield community, We held them in those communities because all of the feeder schools were actually able to be a part of those. It was an awesome opportunity to interact with our families, with our community members, business leaders, etc. And even some of our staff members actually participated and asked questions, shared their thoughts, their concerns, gave us some really wonderful recommendations. We chronicled all of those, and we will be including that information, sharing it with you and the community via my entry plan. So that information has been cataloged, and our staff was awesome and came out with me, and Ms. Jessica Whitlow actually did a great job of typing those up. So thanks to the community for the work that they did there. Next was the county fair. First time I've attended the fair in quite a while. So my first time attending the fair here. And a number of our students participated. Actually, those are some of our Land Lab students. I think the official from the fair, Mr. Collick, was there again with me. And a number of our elementary schools, in fact, our elementary schools, grade, as I look out here, what's it, grade 1 participates? Okay, and so our first graders were there. We had booths, Mrs. Cummings actually was working, and other staff, so thank you all. It was a great event, and again, I don't think that they could do what they do without Isle of Wight, so it's a wonderful event and a wonderful opportunity for us to display the work that we do as a division. National Night Out. I had a chance, get the date right here, to attend the National Night Out with Police Chief Howell and many others from the law enforcement community on October 4th. And because of inclement weather that evening, we actually held it at a local church. And you see some of the photos there. I'd also like to point out several of our Smithfield schools were there, Smithfield Middle and Smithfield High. You see the principals there and their staff members and their students participated as well. I had a chance to meet the mayor and members from the Smithfield Town Center who were at that event as well, and our students from the JROTC participated. So a wonderful event. Again, another opportunity for our students and staff to participate and display the work that they are doing. I am continuing to tour all of our programs throughout the county, both special education at this moment and our career technical education programs. Just a few photos. Although working with our special education leaders, Mrs. Trish Magner and her staff, we actually attended many of our programs in the northern part of the county. In fact, as early as tomorrow, I will be in the Windsor area in those schools looking at their special education programs. And to the right there, you see our culinary arts program at Smithfield High. Although that's the only photo we have, we actually visited all of those programs there at Smithfield. And again, we'll be visiting the schools in the Windsor area as well. And we have staff who are doing amazing work. I had a chance to speak with the Kiwanis Club this afternoon and shared with them. They've heard about it, some have seen some of the programs we have, but I encourage the community to let us know when you would like to come out and see some of our programs. Our students are doing amazing work, and we have very talented staff members working with them, so I can't applaud them enough for the work that is going on in our schools with a number of our programs. Madam Chair has stole all my thunder here, so I will just let you look at the visual illustration there. So, yes, we toured twice, one with Madam Chair Tynes and with Board of Supervisor Chair Jefferson and members of our staff. And I think Vice Chair Cunningham was with us on that day as well. We visited as late as this Monday, I think it was. Am I correct? Time flies by.
Correct.
With our staff, certainly Principal Denson was there with us. And again, we had board member Dial there and Board of Supervisor Grice as chair, Tynes mentioned, along with County Administrator Keaton. And good news for the Hardy community, students and staff. We are, as Chair Tynes stated, we are on schedule, so you will be in there on time. So that's really good news, and it is an amazing building. I can't wait until it gets closed in a little bit more, so we can get back in there. I know, as Chair Tynes mentioned, a few of our board members weren't able to make it because of other events that you had, but we'll work with Dr. Coleman to get you all in there at another time as well. And crunch heard round the Commonwealth. That's not a misspelling. That's the term that was used, right, Mrs. Brigg? Crunch heard round the Commonwealth. And let me cheat a little bit and look at my notes so I can tell you exactly what that was. So in conjunction with the Virginia Farm to School Week, the Isle of Wight Central Office staff actually participated in this event, and we all took a bite out of a Virginia-grown apple, a delicious Virginia-grown apple, and some of us didn't eat the apple to the extent that we should have. I'm not calling any names. Most of us did. The apples were delicious, but this is a statewide initiative, and we participated in it. Land Lab agriculture students to the right, and the Windsor Elementary students, 5th grade and what was the other grade there with us? Was kindergarten. Thank you very much, and they were awesome. So that occurred, and we thank them. Thank you, Ms. Briggs, for bringing that to Isle of Wight for us, and some of my colleagues in other jurisdictions, they participated as well. So this was a statewide initiative. And I've been attending a number of events, and this is Windsor, Smithfield. Do not get upset with me. I will be with you all, I think, next Friday for Smithfield's homecoming, but this is Windsor. So I attended a football game earlier in the year, and last week I actually had a chance to participate in some of the festivities pertaining to homecoming, and that was the staging area with the floats and decorated vehicles, and having a chance to see our staff in their homecoming festive regalia, so that was an awesome event. And also a special thank you to Sheriff Clark was there, and Chief Riddle was there, so thank you for your support as well. And our anti-bullying activity, although I didn't attend these events, but our schools participated in these events, and here you see, I think to the left, there was the Blue Pinky Challenge at Carrollton against bullying. Our young lady is showing us her blue pinky. The nail was painted there. And our Hardy students enjoyed a play called The Lady of Bullyburg about bully prevention and changing lives through lessons of friendship and kindness. And a special thank you also earlier to our Windsor Elementary students. Were they not amazing? They were just awesome. So I think you see all the great work, absolutely, that's occurring in our schools. So congratulations to you all. And I think that's it, but I do have one more that's not there. So I do want to mention as well, board members, you all are aware of this, but I would like our community to be aware of this. At the Board of Supervisors meeting, actually on last Thursday, October 6th, 2 budget amendments were approved. An additional $812,507 was appropriated as follows. $712,507 for instructional services and $100,000 for transportation services. Additionally, for fiscal year 2022, there was capital maintenance carryover in the amount of $234,272 was appropriated to the fiscal year 2023 capital maintenance. So on behalf of the Isle of Wight School Division, I wish to thank our Board of Supervisors for the aforementioned appropriations and for their support. And Madam Chair, with that, thank you for the opportunity to share these events, and that concludes my update. And thank you all for being patient with me for that rather long update.
Thank you.
That was good.
Thank you very much. Okay. What is the next one we have?
I think that's mine as well. That's 16.2.
Yeah, 16.2.
All right, I'll jump right in. So, Madam Chair and members of the board, I ask that the board approve the motion to update the organizational chart and associated employee transfer. The organizational chart update will include changing the title of Assistant Superintendent to the title of Deputy Superintendent. After a review of the organizational chart and an analysis of the roles and responsibilities, I'm recommending that we update the organizational chart to show how the division currently functions as equal parts instruction and operation. Currently, we have a Deputy Superintendent of Instruction and an Assistant Superintendent of Administration, Finance, and Support Services. The current organizational chart shows a disparity between the roles and responsibilities of these two positions when in application they equally support the superintendent in their respective duties. Additionally, I ask the employee who is currently in the role of Assistant Superintendent, that being Dr. Christopher Coleman, be transferred from Assistant Superintendent to the new role of Deputy Superintendent of Operations.
All right.
And that is an action item.
All right. You heard a report coming from Dr. Kramer.
Yep.
On his update on his organizational chart. You have any questions or concerns about it?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, we need to take a vote.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the updated organizational chart and associated employee transfer.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the organizational chart as presented by Dr. Kramer. At this time, please take a vote. I'd asked for the vote. We should have taken the motion first. I'm sorry. We have a motion. We need to take the vote. Thank you. And while we're waiting for that to come up, I just want to let everyone know now we have 2 deputy superintendents. We no longer have a deputy superintendent and an assistant superintendent. Equal across, okay? I don't want anyone to say we eliminated someone. We didn't. We just have 2 with the same title. But they're taking care of different things. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. And Deputy Superintendent Coleman, welcome. Deputy Superintendent Gatz, we're glad to have you too. Thank you. All right. Next on the agenda.
I think I have the next one as well, Madam Chair.
Security and Emergency Management Specialist position.
Madam Chair and Board and members of the Board, this is the first completely new position that I'm requesting as your superintendent. Currently, several Wight County School employees oversee various responsibilities related to the safety and security of the school division. The new position that I am proposing, Security and Emergency Management Specialist position, will ensure that the Wight County Schools has someone with law enforcement expertise who is solely responsible and focused on the safety and security for our students and staff. This position will work with law enforcement and with staff to ensure that our schools are as safe as possible. The safety of our students and staff will be this person's primary responsibility. Therefore, Madam Chair and members of the Board, I ask that the Board approve the motion to create a new position titled Security and Emergency Management Specialist position.
Okay, you heard a report coming from Dr. Kramer. I do have one question, Dr.
Yes.
Kramer. Where would this position, will their office be in a particular school building or in central office or?
At the moment, this position will be at central office.
Okay.
Right.
All right, thank you.
And as superintendent, if the position is approved, I certainly retain the right to make a change in the future if we deem that to be appropriate.
I was just wondering.
Sure.
Okay, because I know sometimes, I didn't know if you were going to say transportation department, wherever you had space for them.
That's right.
All right, thank you.
And I've got a question.
Sure.
This probably doesn't need to be worked in tonight for the vote, but I do have some criteria from my previous experience and that we really got confirmation from during the threat and vulnerability conference this week. So if we don't have to include it in tonight's vote, it's something that I could send to you, but it's very simple. You know, somebody having, 5 years of safety, security, threat analysis, or risk analysis experience, and a certified threat management certification. And then under education experience, I would remove business management and replace it with risk management. And finally, we want the person to be able to go around the county, but we have facility in there. But I'll email that to you. I don't think we need to include that, to vote.
I think as superintendent, I reserve the right to be able to make modifications to
Absolutely.
the job description in the future. And certainly we'll take that
Yep.
under advisement. Thank you.
Yep.
I heard what you said, Mr. Collick. With the risk management, is it possible to leave the business management and add risk management as well?
Again, yes, we
But
can
you all can
certainly
look
do
at that. But tonight,
Sure.
tonight, we just need to, this is an action item, so we can
Yep.
make this a position. And you all can tweak those
Yeah.
items later, Mr. Collick. You can get with
Of
Dr.
course.
Coleman.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
And the law enforcement stuff.
So you heard the report coming from Dr. Kramer about the new position, and that is Security and Emergency Management Specialist job description. Are there any more discussions or concerns about that position?
Nope.
Hearing none, we need a motion.
All right, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Security and Emergency Management Specialist position.
I'd second that.
We have a motion and a second. At this time, we would take a vote. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. You now have a new position. Okay.
That's good.
Next on the agenda, item number 16.4, teacher-pupil ratio report, and that's Deputy Superintendent Susan Getz. Get used to saying those, Deputy Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Kramer. Tonight I'm going to share with you the class size report. This is an annual required report. As I go through, if you have any questions, please just stop me and I'll be happy to answer them. So first we're just going to take a look at the total enrollment in all of our schools. We did show you last year as compared to this year, just for your information. And again, how does this compare from previous years? So just a slight decrease since last year, September 30th. So we're going to take a look at kindergarten. And as you can see, it's all of our schools, the comparison of kindergartens from 2019 to present. And this is a required report how this looks, and it is actual teacher ratio, which this is the one that we really are more concerned with because this is our general education teachers and their class sizes. We do have to report out the total ratio, but this also includes all of our resource teachers, so like our music, art, PE, STEM, coding, in those ratios. But again, we do focus more on the actual ratio. So the class sizes at Carrollton Elementary, and we do not have teachers' names, but we do have the actual classes and their number of students enrolled in those classes.
Okay.
This is Carsville Elementary, and the 2 classes per grade. Carsville is a Title I school, so in K through 3, we are not to exceed 24 students in any class. As you can see, that second grade, we have 1 slot left for a student. If we hit more than that, we would have to look at actually another teacher.
Oh.
Yes.
How many, you just mentioned that, and for reference, how many Title I schools do we have in the county?
So it's Hardy, Carsville, and Windsor Elementary.
Okay.
And here's Hardy Elementary class sizes, and we're looking good here. Windsor Elementary, again, another Title I school. And Westside Elementary. And as you see, we don't have as many 4th grade because our 4th graders are at Hardy.
Right.
These are only our 4th graders from Carrollton.
Right.
And the secondary student-teacher ratio. So this includes all of our teachers in those schools. GTMS, average class sizes for English, Math, Science, and History. And Science and History are just broken out because they do those courses by semester. So you see semester 1 and semester 2. Our resource class averages. And then Smithfield Middle School, same exact thing. Smithfield Middle School resource class averages. And then we'll look at Smithfield High School. And again, these are broken out by semester because we're on a 4x4 block. And the resource classes. Windsor High School. Windsor High resource classes. That's it. Do you have any questions about our class sizes or anything about student ratios?
No.
Nope. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Next we have Capital Improvement Plan Community Input Summary. That's Dr. Coleman and Dr. Camps. You have a copy in front of you, board members.
All right. Madam Chair, school board members, the Capital Improvement Plan. Oops, let me grab this here. Madam Chair, when we started off last week with the meetings, the face-to-face meetings, of course, IWCS hosted 2 face-to-face community input meetings. Now, one at each side of the division. October 5th was at Windsor High School, and October 11th was at Smithfield High School, based on the reschedule due to weather. Approximately 25 community members attended, including students, parents, staff members, 2 public officials, and a representative from news and media. Now, our main goal here was to review the parameters of the CIP, which was projects that will span the FY 2023-2032, include only major non-recurring capital infrastructure needs, building, construction, and renovations, and understanding that it must exceed an anticipated $50,000 in expenditures and anticipated life service life 5 or more years. And replacement of vehicles, routine maintenance projects cannot be included. This is the information that we went over with the public and went over online so that everyone understood what a CIP actually was. Also touch bases on existing CIP projects, facilitated a collaborative dialogue, and focused on the driving question, what CIP projects are most important to you, the individual. We had table discussions, brainstorm, collaborative chalk talk, and a gallery walk to prioritize projects.
We also administered an online survey. The online survey was launched September 28th and ran through October the 11th. We shared it on Blackboard, social media, also on our school website. The survey asked the respondents to rank the existing CIP projects in order of priority and encouraged them to provide input on any additional projects that they would like for us to consider and to give us some information about why that project should be a part of it, give us a little detail. And then we had a total of 310 responses. It was open until midnight on the 11th, which was a rescheduled, to meet that rescheduled meeting time. From the community feedback, so we took a look at the input from face-to-face meetings as well as the online survey. We triangulated all that data, and 4 themes really emerged. So 1, expand, renovate, modernize schools and programs, upgrade athletic and extracurricular facilities, address transportation concerns, and perform security upgrades. So we heard these same 4 things over and over and over again. So over the next couple of slides, we're going to tell you a little bit more about the specific projects that the community is requesting.
The focus on expand, renovate, modernize schools and programs. One of the reoccurring themes was rebuild Westside. And when you're looking at the terminology of rebuild Westside, was more of the account for growing populations on both ends of the county, improve student learning experiences, expand program offerings, and increase teacher access to updated equipment and improve retention efforts. Next was the renovate or rebuild Smithville High School. Now, this was one that kind of a shock, but it was a lot of individuals, community members that wanted to see a renovation of Smithville High School and Smithville Middle School. Expand school size capacity across the division. Expand to include additional programs, CTE programs, facilities, maybe a gifted center, GED, and adult education facilities.
We also heard a lot about updating the athletic and extracurricular facilities, which I'm sure it comes as no surprise. And the reasons that they stated for these requests was an increase in student and spectator safety, and that was things like lights on the baseball field and the grass areas and things like that. Improve the overall appearance of facilities, boost school and community pride, be able to host regional competitions, and also to attract high-quality coaches. So there was a spattering, like a large number of these different things. So high school tracks and fields came up quite frequently. All baseball facilities came up as a requested upgrade. The Windsor High School tennis courts, and then there was a request to build high school auxiliary gyms to ensure that all teams have equal access to practice opportunities. In terms of extracurricular facilities, so things that aren't directly always that core instruction, but that support instruction in a different kind of way. The Windsor High School auditorium, upgrades there, Smithfield High School band and chorus room, and then also the Windsor Elementary stage and curtains.
I have one question. With the Windsor Elementary School stage and curtains, did they mention why they wanted the curtains? They do have a stage there.
They do. They didn't say why. They just would like them replaced. So I haven't really inspected those curtains myself recently. I don't know if Dr. Coleman has.
Not had a chance to inspect them. I know that that's something that we looked at in the past with the principal, Ms. Ellen Couch, but haven't inspected it over this past year.
Okay. All right.
But once again, there was a community input, so we made sure that we included it to not leave anyone out.
Well, I knew the Smithfield High School band and the chorus room would probably be on there, but with the growth of hopefully the new Westside Middle School, maybe some things will come about very soon.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next will be transportation concerns. Now, establish parent pickup and drop-off areas, especially at elementary schools where traffic is a concern. There was a lot of parents that was very interested in that. Now, these requests were specifically directed at Windsor Elementary School, Westside, Carsville, and Carrollton for the drop-off areas, and the Smithfield Middle School, High School complex, as there have been repeated ongoing concerns regarding traffic patterns and implications that comes from that. Now, as for the non-CIP requests that you see there, we want the community to know that we heard your concerns and have made note, but unfortunately, vehicles are not eligible for CIP consideration. And that was the upgrade the current buses AC and purchase designated activity buses.
Okay.
And lastly, the community made it clear that student safety is their #1 priority, and they want us to do everything that we can to ensure students feel safe and secure when they are at school. Things that we heard over and over again: install the security vestibules at the main entrance to every school, and also upgrade security cameras and badge access points throughout the division.
During the community input, made sure that we clarified that IWCS Division has needs also. So the CIP is not just for community input, but also from a school division's input, from the individuals that are at the central office to determine exactly when the division examines their own needs. We look to identify specific infrastructure needs based on a number of factors, such as aging buildings, maintenance requests, growing populations, class sizes, and program capacity. Demands from our students, staff, parents, and other community members. We also look to create an atmosphere that is safe and conducive to both learning and employment. We believe the division's needs are as follows, and this is in no particular order. Construction of new Westside, construction of IWCS bus garage, build security vestibules, expand CTE facilities, athletic and extracurricular projects such as the high school track and field, and that's both high school track and fields, both high school baseball facilities, Smithfield High School band and chorus room, and Windsor High School auditorium.
So we took all of this information and we have proposed a total of 12 different CIP projects that could be included in the CIP. Now, obviously, all of these can't go in there.
Right.
But those would include rebuilding Westside, the bus garage build, the security upgrades across the division, resurfacing of the high school tennis courts, upgrading the high school tracks and fields, and the Smithfield High School band and chorus room renovation. The upgrade to the Windsor High School auditorium, expanding our CTE facilities, and that, of course, would be directed based on student interest and career growth opportunities. Address our parking lot and traffic concerns, upgrade the baseball facilities, construct the auxiliary gyms, and expand elementary schools to include space for universal pre-K. So those different items would be included on a survey that will go out to all of our community members on Monday. And that survey will be open for, I guess, about a week. We hadn't set an end date, but we'll look at the calendar, I would say at least a week. And we're going to ask them to weigh in on those 12 priorities, and that's how we will then determine which ones would actually make it to the CIP. We look to bring first read to you of that draft at the November 10th board meeting, with a second read at the December 8th meeting, and then once we've gotten all the nitty-gritty, we hope to submit it to the Board of Supervisors in January of 2023.
And when it was explained to the population that was there that once we get all of the information together and we do turn it in, it doesn't mean that funds have been allocated.
True.
So that has been explained to the public, that just because it makes the list, it doesn't mean that funds are allocated for the particular project.
Okay.
Are there any questions concerning the CIP at this time?
No? Thank you all for the report. Did a wonderful job. We appreciate that. And the most important thing, because sometimes citizens don't know, Dr. Coleman, if you want to address that about, although we held the community input sessions, the bottom line is the CIP will be submitted to the Board of Supervisors just as we submit our budgets every year. I think sometimes citizens think we control those things. We make the decisions, but the bottom line is the Board of Supervisors control that for the county.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
And the reason is the Board of Supervisors is the funding body for all of Wight County. That includes the schools.
Yes, ma'am. That's a great point. We did address the public that was there to let them know that the Board of Supervisors have 6 to 7 other CIPs that they're reviewing at this time. So all of the information is sent up at the same time, and that's when they figure out exactly what are the needs, what are the wants of the public. So just because it made our CIP list doesn't mean that the Board of Supervisors will approve it based off of their needs.
True.
Yes,
and that's what I wanted them to know, because some of the board members, we received some of the emails from some citizens, and I look at them, I said, well, they really don't understand how the CIP works.
Right.
And some of the items that were on that one that came up that we addressed, that popped up, they were put on there from previous boards about 10 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
And they would just move it up. And we were just addressing these things. So this is why it's important that we can have these community discussions and see what's important to the citizens.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
No problem at all.
All right, now we have Ms. Magner.
Don't think that.
You're all smiles, I know.
Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Kramer, tonight I have 2 pieces of information for you to review. The first of which is the schedule for our Special Education Advisory Committee meetings. Those will begin next week. The first topic that we will be sharing is dyslexia. We will have Haley Cooprider present that evening for those present. Do you have any questions about the schedule for SEAC this year?
Who was our representative for that, Mrs. Dow?
Yes. Okay, and the second piece of information we have are the dates for this year's Child Find screenings. Child Find is an ongoing process. We do that throughout the school year through our child study process. These two offerings, however, are for community members to bring their preschool age students, so 2, 3, and 4, by September 30th. We will do screenings on development, speech, and gross and fine motor. Any questions about Child Find?
No,
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Magner.
Feels good.
All right. Next, we have actions on closed session items. And tonight we have personnel report and addendum. And we have one, this is not an exchange student, is it? No.
No.
This is a religious exemption. Okay. And we also have the meeting minutes, donations, field trips, finance. They're all separate. First one item is personnel report and addendum. We need it, it's an action item.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the personnel addendum as presented, a copy of which may be obtained from the school board clerk if anyone wants one.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. At this time, please take a vote.
When you said the motion, you just said addendum, so it's the report
It's
and
motion.
addendum.
Is
The
report
personnel
and
report
addendum.
and addendum.
Report and addendum.
Oh, okay.
When you read it, you,
Personnel,
yeah,
okay.
you left off the report.
It's just how it's written. That's
Okay.
right. All right, Madam Chair.
First motion.
Go ahead.
You gotta
Except rescind the first one.
We're gonna.
Oh, yeah. Madam Chair, I'd like to rescind the first motion.
All right, at this time, we're gonna rescind the first motion. We need a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to rescind the first motion on item number 17.1. Any questions? Hearing none, take a vote.
Mr. Vines.
Yay.
Mrs. Dial.
Yay.
Mrs. Tynes.
Yay.
Mr. Cunningham.
Yay.
And Mr. Colick.
Yay.
All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Now, we will take another action motion on personnel report and addendum.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the personnel report and addendum as presented. A copy is available and can be obtained from the school board clerk if anyone wants one.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the personnel report and addendum. If we don't have any concerns or discussion at this time, we will take a vote.
Mr. Vines.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, we have exemption for religious reasons. Student. That's 17.2 REX 2223-02.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to excuse student REX 2223-02 from compulsory attendance requirements under the religious exemption statute of Virginia Code.
Okay, we have a
Second.
motion. We have a motion and a second. If there is no discussion, at this time, we will take a vote. Did yours come up? Mine didn't come up. Here it is. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next, we have the adoption of the consent agenda. That would include, that's 18.1, would include meeting minutes, donations, field trips, financials. There are no concerns or discussion. We need a motion.
All right. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as attached and presented.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. If you don't have any discussions, we will take a vote. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. And going forward in our meetings, on the consent agenda, we normally just approve it, but there is a special part in there where we feel that it's important because individuals and organizations donate to Wight County Schools. And unless you get the agenda and read it for yourself, you don't know who those individuals are. And if they can take the time to donate to our schools, I think we can take a moment out in our meetings to address it and let everyone know who those individuals and organizations are. All right, Hardy Elementary School, we have donations this month from Smithfield Baptist Church School Supplies, and we have Mr. Timothy Koprosky, Keurig Coffee Machine and Coffee Pods. Bayport Credit Union, $300 for staff breakfast. Smithfield Foods, the Plant Community Relations Department, school supplies. Bethany United Methodist Church, school supplies and sanitizing supplies. That's as well as Smithfield Baptist is sanitizing supplies as well. And Battery Park Baptist Church, school supplies. That was all donated to Hardy Elementary School. We have Smithfield High School, Hercules fence for the football field, and we also have Wight Christian Outreach, $200 for the students. Westside Elementary School, we have Bayport Credit Union, $300 for staff and students. And I would like to go back to the Hercules fence. I would like to thank parents of students at Smithfield High School, and they are Glenn and Renee Roundtree, for networking with Hercules Fence to get that gift for Smithfield High School. And when I say networking, if it had not been for the Roundtrees, we probably would not have received that fence because we didn't know, not the fence, but the gate for the fence, okay? And I was also told yesterday that we have some more things that's going to be gifted because of the networking of the Roundtrees. Thank you very much. And if there's anyone out there in the public that would like to donate to any of the schools, just make the donation and they will list the donation, and going forward we will read all of them off. Thank you. Even if you only have $5 or $10, donate it. Could help someone buy lunch. Thank you very much. Okay. Next on our agenda, we have policy updates and revisions.
Madam Chair, if I may, as Mrs. Brigg comes forward, I would like to share with the community that when we receive updated policy revisions from the Virginia State Legislature and or from the Department of Education via Governor Youngkin's office, we work actively to include those updated policy revisions for the board's first read. In fact, we received one, I think it was fairly late last week, I think it was almost Wednesday, prior to meeting with you, Madam Chair and Vice Chair, and we rushed to include that. So I just wanted to make that known to the community that, again, when we receive those revisions from our state officials, we work at a feverish pace to include those for your first read. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Mrs. Briggs?
Mrs. Briggs.
Well, these, as Dr. Kramer said, these are for first read. You're not voting on them tonight. You have quite a few to review, and they will be back on the November agenda for a vote during second read. I did include an explanation of revisions in the attachment so you can see why they were being included. Some of them are just reviewed and not updated. By law, we are supposed to review our policies every 5 years. So some are just being reviewed and not revised. But if you have any questions about the ones before you tonight, I'm happy to answer those as best I can now. And I'll be available to answer them again in November.
There was quite a few of them, and a lot of them was board, directly board concerns. So we need to read them. It's very important because
I've got a number of questions and only one or two concerns. Tell me when you're ready.
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
Starting at BB, the rationale behind removing, and I quote, of Virginia, of the Code of Virginia, and of the regulations of the State Board of Education from the policy.
Okay,
That's
see.
BB.
Yes, sir. Bear with me 1 second. BB. The policy was updated. Do we have a reference to a code at the bottom? I'm just scrolling through really fast. I'm sorry.
most of them was the years 2017.
Right.
The ones that I read.
It's the very first one.
Okay. What year was it?
In your pack it is, but mine. I apologize. Thank you, Susan.
February 2022.
Okay.
How many?
February.
Oh, okay. It's just combining. If you go back, can you go back to it for me, please? Thank you for helping me. It is the Constitution and laws of Virginia, which the laws of Virginia do come from the Code of Virginia.
Right.
So
How about the regulations of the State Board of Education?
typically the regulations are also coming from the Code of Virginia.
Okay.
They're usually codified, and then the...
From code.
Yes, sir, from code.
Okay, very good.
Thank you. I think I have it.
My next question is, we removed shall from a number of policies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And in my past training, in one of my jobs, when I was required to know a lot of legal stuff, and hopefully PAC, if I'm wrong, please chime in. But the term shall, in a legal sense, means it cannot be deviated from. But without this word, there can be some legal ambiguity, and the sentence is no longer directive in nature.
Well, it appears to me by removing the shall, it's just making it more direct. For example, in BBAA, school board members have no authority versus shall have no authority. So I can defer to PAC if there's a legal explanation for removing the shall, but it appears it's just cleaning it up to make it more direct.
I don't, I didn't review all these policies or any of them, but based on what you all are telling me, the shall in that sentence really makes no difference. And yeah, I don't think it makes a difference from the one example that Ms. Briggs just told me. And I do know that ever since 2018 or maybe 19, for whatever reason, the VSBA, which they have a number of policies that, and the school division is subscribed to that policy service, for whatever reason, they stopped using the word shall and will and direct, and rather than doing that, they have started using declarative sentences.
Okay, so is your opinion that removing shall, it is still directive in nature by saying will?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're correct with that.
Okay. BHB. I just think the wording in here could be an error.
Okay.
So this policy requires elected board members to undergo training, but shouldn't it include all board members, including board members that are appointed to fill out a term? I don't need an answer right now.
No, but that's, and you said that was BHB. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's look into that, and I will follow up with a response.
Okay, thank you.
Is it okay to provide the response before voting in November?
Please.
Yes, sir.
We probably can change that, but most of the training that the new board members go through is also done by Virginia School Board Association. And if you remember, when you all came on board, they held that training in January, because we have the elections in November, and they come on board to take their position January 1, so they have the training in January. And then for a few districts where they're still appointing board members, sometimes they have those appointments done around June or something like that, and they will also hold another training session in June.
Yeah, and one thing I can investigate, Mr. Collick, is it may be that, you see the legal references down there, it may be that the Code of Virginia states elected, but it may be that the VSBA states all. So there might be something by code.
And that's all. These are questions because I want to know the answers.
That's right, and we'll clarify that. Yes, sir.
Not playing catch.
No,
okay. Now, FFA, we had a couple people talk about that tonight.
Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna go ahead and continue with that. I'm not calling for any revocation of vote, but I just want to make sure we follow policies. GCQB. If I remember right, yes. So this requires or encourages employee innovation, but if an employee does anything on Isle of Wight time, it becomes property of the school system. Do the employees sign anything that indicates that?
I will check on that. I'll need to speak with Human Resources.
Okay. And is it enforceable? Do we enforce it? I'm going to skip one and go to another one, a new policy, JJAF.
Yes.
Where did that originate from? That is brand new?
Yes, and there should be, if you notice under legal reference, there was new code that was adopted by the General Assembly this past session, 22.1-271.8. So this policy complies with that newly adopted code.
That makes sense.
Yes, sir.
And finally, the IIA, I have a lot of concern with that particular policy. And I'll just start with the sentence that states, the Isle of Wight County School Board ensures parental notification of any instructional material that includes sexually explicit content. Folks, that's unacceptable. We cannot even allow sexually explicit content in our schools. That should be changed to something to the effect of providing students with sexually explicit contents, even under the guise of instruction material, is strictly prohibited in Isle of Wight schools. And when I say sexually explicit content, I'm going with the definition that I think it was Mr. Worcester read earlier. So it won't affect biology class. We don't have to worry about that, and it won't affect family life.
What about health?
It won't affect health.
But you left that one out. That's why I asked.
Okay, you got me.
Because we do have health and PE classes as well.
Okay. And just to add some clarification, just a point of, I don't know, information reference. At the end of the policy, there are definitions there. The definition for instructional material and instructional materials comes from the VDOE model policy. So that comes directly from the model policy. The additional definitions, which I won't read right here, but the additional definitions come from Virginia Code. The first three there are from 18.2-390, and the last one, sexually explicit content, is Virginia Code 2.2-2827A. So that language, just for your information, is verbatim for code. I'm not discussing anything prior to that, but I wanted you to be aware that that's where that information did come from.
But under the model policies, we can be stricter than the model policies, and that's where I'm going with this.
Yes, no, right. I just, once again, right. I just wanted to add that point of clarification. I just had that down there as a note.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions on the first reads? And I will bring back answers to those questions at the November meeting. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Collett?
No.
Any other board members have concerns with these policies, first reads?
No.
All right. Next, we have regulations and exhibits. That's just for information as well. If we don't have any concerns or discussions with that, we'll move on to requests to speak, non-agenda items. Madam Clerk.
In accordance to policy BDDH-E, presentation of information on any subject will be concluded at the discretion of the board. No person will be recognized to speak more than once. Citizens scheduled on the agenda to speak will be permitted 4 minutes maximum time for their presentation. Delegations will be requested to limit their speakers to 2. Persons speaking are asked to be specific, state the issues for the board's consideration, and attach a copy of your prepared remarks. If you have prepared remarks, they should be given to the board clerk. Please do not approach the board members. Any matter relating to specific students will be heard by the school board only in a closed meeting.
Okay.
So first we have Mrs. Heidi Schwartz.
I am so torn between what I want to speak about. Okay, I'll just go with what was I originally planned. So over a year ago, there was a lot of talk about open transparency with the board. In my opinion, the complete opposite has taken place in about the last year and a half. In fact, I've seen nothing more than an attempt of censorship, and let me explain why. Roughly over a year ago, after school board meetings, speakers would receive a letter from Chair Carr with detailed responses and her signature. Now we seem to get a generic form letter and no signatures, not even stating who the board members are. Last year, our time was stripped away from 5 minutes to 4 minutes, and we were pushed to the back of the line. This makes it very hard for people with young children, people that have to get up early in the morning to attend. Matter of fact, last month, Ms. Tynes, you almost left at the start when I came back up because people needed to get up and take a break. Along with other attempts of censorship, I felt like Ms. Fletcher was removed before she was even allowed to speak at a forum because of school board Mr. Vines. That was definitely a First Amendment censorship. What do we really care at this point? I feel like I'm hoping that Mr. Vines' time is going to be cut shortly here. I also feel like Tynes and Dial, who put Mr. Vines on the board, was a very poor choice. Then we had Chair Tynes silence both me and Mrs. Vanderbrake during our special meetings last spring. In an email, and this is a quote, she, meaning me, during my presentation, by Ms. Tynes, this is an email by Ms. Tynes, wants to use PowerPoint to display negative material to the public and not to just the board. I am protecting the public from her visual presentation. That was an email, Ms. Tynes, from you to the rest, I think to Dr. Thornton. You silenced me that night by allowing the rest of the public to see what the children were getting on their devices. With 3 FOIA lawsuits, you violated FOIA that night too. but hey, that's another way to silence me. These are just a few examples of the board's censorship over the last year. By now, Ms. Dial is running her campaign, and as a school board member, she's censoring people in Wight County, including parents and children who attend the schools that she makes decisions for and citizens whose tax dollars she oversees in the spending of. The Supreme Court has called social media sites the modern public square, where citizens can petition and engage their elected representatives and otherwise engage with them in a direct manner. This includes all for the county and districts like us, as your decisions directly impact the county's tax dollars and citizens our schools go to in county schools. Let's face it, I don't get responses to emails from the board. And if you do respond to emails, you're selectively doing it. I find that biased. This isn't for all students. You can't pick and choose who you're responding to. If a public official uses their account to carry out their role as an elected official, as Ms. Dial does for Wight County Schools on her page, then their page is subject to First Amendment. You can't block them, you can't delete them, you have to let them engage, even if you're not for their viewpoint. You can't stop people from joining in public conversations on your social media page. And you've done just that. You've deleted comments, you've blocked people, and when presented with the law, you reinstated them, but since then you've deleted reviews, and now you're blocking all commented on your page. You've berated a grown man, Mr. Collick, who's your board member, for his Facebook usage, yet you violate your public official school board account by censoring people as described by the 8th Circuit Court. Just because you're campaigning now doesn't mean you can censor people. You can't pick and choose which laws you're going to follow. Thank you.
Okay, next we have the Windsor High School Marching Dukes. No?
Are they,
Yes.
You have a representative? They're not here?
It says in support of Jemiah Benton, Student of the Month.
Oh, they all left. Okay.
Kelsey Sims? No?
Okay. That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Next, we have board members' requests and comments. I have one item I would like to read at this time from a board member. If you did not know, Mr. Cunningham lost his father last month. All of this was going on at the same time as we lost a board member. To my family and friends of the Wight County School Board and Central Office, thank you for the calls, cards, of flowers following the loss of my father. Your outpouring of support during this difficult time is truly appreciated, and that's from Mr. Michael Cunningham. Okay, and at this time, Kylie, our Windsor representative, do you have something you would like to share with us tonight?
Yes,
Okay.
Windsor is doing very good so far this year. We just had homecoming last weekend. It was great. The football team didn't win, but it was still a really fun game. The parade was great. The dance was great.
Yes.
I mean, I know I saw Sergeant Johnson at the dance, so that was always fun. And the Windsor cheerleaders are doing like a fundraiser for the cheer team, where they're selling Captain Bob's meals for $10 each. And if anybody's interested, I can get you the contact information of one of the cheerleaders. And then the Beta Club is selling chocolate, the world's finest chocolate, every single year. So that's always great. And the English 11th grade SOL is also coming up, the first part of it.
Okay. All right, thank you. And just to follow up on what Kylie said about the fundraisers with the JV and the varsity cheering squad, I would like personally for all of us, board members, not you all, to purchase at least one dinner. If you don't want the dinner, it's the donation, okay? Myself, that's my family dinner for the night, so I'm purchasing 3. And please let Jessica know first thing in the morning, because Mrs. Sullivan is going to take care of that for us. If you have your $10 tonight, give it to Jessica, okay? We appreciate that. And the pickup day for those dinners is next Thursday, a week from today, from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock, okay? And I think it's fried chicken and barbecue. Is all of that on one plate, or you get an option? All on one plate. And Mrs. Sullivan said it's very good. So, hey, you can't go anywhere and get a meal for $10, okay?
No, you can't.
Everybody out there with the family, please support the cheering squad, Windsor High School, next Thursday. But you have to have it in early so they'll know about how many to prepare for. So it's just a pickup. And they did say they had a few picnic tables on the outside if you want to stay there and eat. Thank you very much. Okay, now we have Samantha, right? Okay, you have any updates from Smith High?
We're doing really good. Our homecoming is coming up next week, so we're all very excited. We have Powder Puff and the parade, the game, all that. So we're doing really well. Our cheerleading squad is also having a fundraiser, World's Finest Chocolate. They're great. So, yeah. And our football team is playing at Tab High School tonight. So we'll see how they do.
Okay, all right. Great, okay. Did any other board members have anything they would like to share with us tonight?
I think John's going to pay for all our dinners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John is going to pay for the dinner.
Yeah.
That's his district. No, that's your district. Why don't you and John get together and pay for all of them? You know, I actually said it would have been perfect if it was tonight because we could have actually gotten our board meals from them tonight. But that's all right. You all going to have a meal. Okay. And anything else before us? Come before us tonight?
I got something.
All right.
All right. Yeah, I want to congratulate the, in Windsor, they have a varsity golf team. Smithfield High School has a varsity golf team also. I don't think people know enough about the golf team, but both of them are great. And just letting you know about the Windsor High School golf team. They won the district this year. Mm-hmm. That's how good they are. Wow. Yep. They went undefeated throughout the regular season, and like I said, they won the district. There were 6 players in the district. Four of the 6 top players came out of Windsor. Mm-hmm. They placed 3rd in the region. And one of the players, I'm trying to find his name on this, Luke Patterson missed going to the States as an individual by 1 shot. So they have an awesome team. So congratulations to Coach Pringle. All right. Now, Smithfield High School. Completely different district, so they don't play each other. But anyway, Smithfield High School. And I know this might not seem like a lot, but they finished 6th in the regular season standings. That's big compared to what they've done in the past. They were 5th in the district championship and 4th in the regional championship. Coach McKee, he's a senior, I always said senior coach. He's the coach. Coach McKee and Coach Wilson, the assistant coach, they really have improved that team. They have 6 players that go to the matches, and I am telling you, I've seen what they've done this year, and it's great. Total, they have 12 players, but only 6 can go to each match. All right. That's all I have on the golf team. So I'd like everybody to support the golf team because they don't get as much recognition as the football team and basketball teams and soccer teams. I mean, they're doing a great job too. It's just come on out and support the golf teams also. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, and I have a request of Dr. Kramer. After, I guess, when we went out to visit the new Hardy Elementary School, I drove by the old Hardy Elementary School, and the wing that's further out from the new building, I was just, I thought about that, and I thought about I had a vision of what we could do with that building because it's still good. And if it's not going to be in the way, maybe we could have Little Sprouts 2, District 1, District 1 and District 3. I mean, because I had an opportunity to visit the program last spring in Windsor Elementary School, that's based at Windsor Elementary School, and this is the children that's coming in, the little babies, I call them. They're not our school age yet. They're not 5 years old. And it was an opportunity for staff and other people in the Windsor community that did not have childcare because they had to go out of the area to find that. And that made it convenient. It is privately run, but it's on our campuses. And I was wondering if, I was hoping maybe we could get to do the same thing on this end of the county, because I know it would be beneficial to a lot of parents and a lot of our staff.
True.
And just look into it and see what we can do. I know we would have to get with the Board of Supervisors because it's their building to see what we can do, but anything we can do for young families and child care.
I will certainly have that conversation with Mr. Keaton, our county administrator, and with, where's Dr. Coleman? He's hiding from me there. I'll have that conversation, and we'll certainly get back with you.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, because it's not the whole Old Hardy now. We just want a piece of it left there, okay? All right. Thank you very much. Okay.
Don't forget.
Oh, tonight, everybody take the little bags up here. I would like to, all of us, and I did take mine out of the bag. I want to make sure I don't open Mrs. Dial's here. We would like to thank the staff of Westside Elementary School for helping to dress us with these beautiful shirts with the eagle on them. And I assure you, when we go up to Williamsburg in November, what's wrong? Oh, you want to take a picture? We go to Williamsburg in November, our Wight County board members will be what? Wearing these. Thank you. Thank you to Mr. Johnson and the staff of Westside Elementary School. Yep. We love them. And they really made it nice for Ms. Dial and myself. We could just about wear this out to a nice, fine dinner. And all of the schools normally donate. And I asked, when I came, I asked our clerk, Ms. Jessica, I said, Jessica, what is that? I said, what are we celebrating? She said, nothing. It's just they wanted to give us a gift. Can we touch the wall? Well, Westside, thank you for your gift. And whenever we celebrate that month where School Board Members Month, we have our gift already. Thank you very much, okay? And I'm not, some of the other schools have already gifted board members with their T-shirts and polo shirts and all. But of course, we have a lot of new members here, and a lot of them did not have them. I think Mr. Collick went out to the Windsor schools and purchased some for himself. But this is my second go-round. I have collected quite a few. The only one I'm waiting for is Hardy Elementary Mustang. But I assure you we'll get those when they open up that new building. Thank you. Okay. If nothing else to come before us tonight, thank you all for coming out. Have a safe trip home. Meeting is adjourned. And Mrs. Sullivan, have something for you.